This is Talk the Home of Common Sense with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Thank you so much for your company. Matthew Lars, a former Labour Party advisor, is also with us. Get his thoughts on what our next guest has to say. He's Rafe Heydel-Mankoo. He's commentator at the New Culture Forum. A very good morning to you, Rafe.
Great to be with you again.
Thanks for joining us. Now, I want to talk about non-crime hate incidents because there's been a lot of talk about non-crime hate incidents being scrapped. I think the College of Policing were told to stop investigating non-crime hate incidents, mainly because police are supposed to investigate crimes, and by definition, non-crimes aren't crimes. There's a clue in the name. But apparently they're not going to be scrapped. They're just going to be renamed. What's going to happen?
Yes, so this is a decision made by, as you say, one of the chiefs of police there, Lord Herbert, who had previously said and recognised the danger that non-crime hate incidents are causing to public trust in the police. And this, of course, should be the overarching thing. Yep. Trust in the police is sapping away daily as people get more and more evidence of two-tier policing. Yep. And at the same time, never having any police come to their door when they're burgled or when their car's stolen or even when they're attacked. And yet, despite having acknowledged the danger that non-crime hate incidents are causing to their public trust, they now think that just changing the name of it is going to be sufficient to somehow make us pleased to still have these with us.
What are they going to call it? Wasting police time with Hurty tweet complaints incidents? I mean, that would be more accurate, at least.
Yeah, I thought Hurty-Feely public penalty notice might be better. I love
Hurty-Feeling public penalty. I love it. But this is the thing. The police don't investigate most crimes. We just had the crime and policing bill announced yesterday, and it got rather overtaken by other events being announced, like the defence spending. But we were discussing it on the show yesterday, and again, everyone we spoke to, the people calling in, and police officers, like, just saying, but we don't actually enforce most of the laws we've already got. Why are you bringing in new laws? Often actually just simply replacing a law that already exists with exactly the same issue. But if police have time to deal with someone who said something hurty on Twitter or X, but they don't have time to investigate a burglary, or there's one case of reports today, a rape, you know, then for goodness sake, I mean, they don't have time for non-crimes.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got to remember here, Policy Exchange did a survey on this last year, actually, and found that there were 60,000 police hours are devoted to non-crime hate incidents. I think there was something in the region of 60 a day are being reported.
There are more than 60 non-crime hate incidents recorded every single day. I've actually put a request into, after Alison Pearson, who's in the news today as well, she said she's now suing Greater Manchester Police for turning up at her door and harassing her, accusing her. She thought at the time of a non-crime hate incident. Turned out it was actually, no, they thought she'd actually committed a crime with a tweet she'd posted. She hadn't. No charges were brought, but she's actually suing the police, and good for her to do so. But I mean, but we, you know, we have all these cases, but after that, a lot of people, like including me, urged on by the Free Speech Union, of which I'm a member, have made requests to find out if we've got non-crime hate incidents against us. I put my request in back in November. They have a legal duty to reply within a month. It's now end of February. Still no response. I pretty much contact them every week saying you're in breach of your legal duty to me. They won't tell me whether they've got non-crime hate incidents recorded against me.
Yeah, and you're a person in public with a public profile. Think of all those other people, actually, who don't have the ability to do any of this. And remember, there's no anonymity here. There's no right of appeal. Yep. And these things sit permanently. So anybody who's going for a job which requires an enhanced DBS check, yep, will be flagged up.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, I don't want to work with children, so it won't be an issue in my career, but should I do? But again, lots of people have them against their name. They don't know. The fact that the police don't even tell them, which is extraordinary.
And the problem here, of course, is that this is just part of that way that our leaders are so out of touch. They think just by giving something a nice rebrand, it will work. Yeah. Well, as we know full well from the history of socialism, the more harmless and the more innocuous a name sounds, the more scary and draconian it usually is. You know, the communists had their thought police prisons, and they were called re-education camps.
Oh, exactly.
And you just wonder how long it will be before some people
you say this.
These things.
Non-crime hate incidents were brought in 2014. The Tories were in power. They've again and again said, oh, you know, you mustn't do this. I think it was Suella Braverman who, or pretty basic, no, you've got to. You need to stop doing this. College of Policing, whose wages we pay, who train all our police officers, basically went, no, we're just going to carry on doing it. This is the thing I find extraordinary. It's like the same thing with the NHS. Amanda Pritchard, the chief exec, basically being told, off you go, love, you're useless at your job, which is clearly what has happened, and they're quite right to get rid of her. But it's the thing, how is it that we have all these people who are publicly paid for by you and me, responsible for huge budgets, huge responsibility over what happens in our lives, whether we can get an operation, see a GP, whether or not we can speak freely on the internet or be mugged in the street. And yet they are totally and utterly unaccountable, not just to us, but even to the government ministers who supposedly oversee them.
Yes, and let's be clear here, the College of Policing is not an essential fixture in our police force. No. It's a body that exists to advise the police force. It actually is the cancer at the heart of so many of the issues we are talking about when it comes to this, much like university departments of education are the cancer at the heart of the teaching profession, because they're producing the police forces who are indoctrinated with this ideology. We need to get back to the old traditional system. You don't need to have a university degree or any degree to become a policeman. You need to have common sense and be able to actually chase and collar somebody.
But also a sense of right and wrong that actually aligns with the law of the land and the values of British people. And as I think most ordinary police officers do have that, but they're being constrained by the bosses. But basically, you don't get promoted in the police anymore unless you sign up to all the diversity, the DEI agenda, the Black Lives Matter, we're institutionally racist, all the woke stuff, hurty words can lead to riots and violence. And again, none of which has any intellectual, academic, substance to it at all. There is some sense coming from America at the moment on a lot of this stuff. Thank God. I don't know how much it's going to come downstream to us, but I want to ask you about one story. A US-born tech worker. He cannot. Well, actually, no, this has happened in the UK. Apologies. A US-born tech worker has been told by the Court of Appeal, in their ruling here, that he cannot be legally identified as non-binary. Ryan Castellucci moved here in 2019. He's launched legal action after only being offered the choice of being designated male or female in the UK. He's a cybersecurity expert. He says he doesn't identify as a man or a woman. He uses the pronouns they and them and the title MX, which is often used in those ways, is not Mr. or Ms., the court was told. And basically, the court, Lord Justice Singh, two other judges, upheld a previous High Court ruling, basically saying, no, this is something that Parliament needs to decide, not the courts. Unusual. And basically, no, you're male or female in this country. Now, this is something that Donald Trump has brought back to America. Your passport says male or female, and it has to actually match your biological sex, not what you think you are on a Wednesday afternoon. But, I mean, this is a little bit of hope for us all, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's encouraging to see the judge say this. Look, non-binary status is not recognised in British law. I like to say I'm binary. My pronouns are 101010. That's a bit of a computer joke. The key thing here is that this is something which the courts cannot be involved with, because this is an issue of huge, profound importance for the morality of the state. These are moral questions, and they must have democratic legitimacy behind them. No,
they're sanity questions. They're fact questions. There's no such thing as being non-binary, not a thing. And also they and them, that's for plurals. You're not a plural.
We know that the public are overwhelmingly against this, and the most important thing, of course, is the number of people who identify as non-binary make even the transgender community seem huge. I mean, we're talking about such an infinitesimally small section of the population. We don't need to spend so much time catering to the most obscure minorities in this country.
The response should always be, no, you're not. It's not a thing. Now say and do something interesting, because claiming that you're non-binary or claiming you're doesn't make you interesting. Queer, whatever the pluses stand for. This, I have to say, got a delightful meeting booked with a senior member of staff at my daughter's school today about their celebration of the LGBTQI, all of that nonsense. Yeah, not happy about that. That conversation, so I'm not sure is going to go very well on either side, but we'll see. But there we are. Thank you very much indeed, Rafe Heydel-Mankoo from the New Culture Forum. Always good to talk to you. My pronouns, as you will know, Matthew Laza, are she/her Imperial Majesty, and I accept nothing else. But
and we would would never dream of saying anything else.
Very briefly, you've got about 20 seconds. Non-crime hate incidents.
The government needs to show common sense, get rid of them. It will be a real indication that the government is on the side of common sense.
They're not going to do it, though.
They may not.
I'm going to urge them. They're not going to do it.
I'm going to urge them.
Why don't you try and get back into government and be an advisor, giving them some sensible ideas?
I might have too much common sense for them.
but isn't that something that's telling that you... And you worked for Ed Miliband. I mean, imagine.
Well, I didn't vote for him to be leader. I voted for David, but David's comments today have been unhelpful.
$1.3 million a year.
It's a lot of money
to be paid to work for a charity.
It's a lot of money.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure anyone takes David Miliband seriously anymore. He ain't the king across the water, I'm afraid. He really, really isn't. Anyway, it's almost coming up to 11. We're going to take a break, get the news. We're back, lots more top guests. This is Talk. We are the home of common sense.